And I laughed, and I said, "You mean Jacob's a ghost?" And he says, evidently, you're able to see him, nobody else does. Now, from that point on, I was able to see all the ancestors in the valley. And evidently there was a time rift for me that I could see. And I'd look across the valley, because I was on top of the hill. I'd look across the valley and I could see them plowing with oxen. I could see them harvesting the grain. I could see them planting cabbages, and the women were helping, and the men were dressed in what we know as colonial clothing, and the women were dressed the same with sunbonnets and long dresses and always an apron on. So it became kind of an interesting thing to see what the ancestors were doing. And oftentimes they were doing the same things we were doing. Now, in the fall, right after school started, the corn would be ready for harvesting. And so the 2 rows near my property were saved so that we could have a corn roast party. And Scott and Tom, my 2 sons, and I would pick the corn, leave it in its shocks, and when the time came for our party at the end of the week, we would fill our 2 canoes with water and put the corn to soak. Then to cook the corn for our party, we would put it in the beds that we had made with fire and had spits above the beds, roasting suckling pigs. And we generally had 3 or 4 suckling pigs. And we'd invite all the neighbors to come that we could see, and could see me on top of the hill, to come for this party. Now, across the valley, in the valley, there'd be another party going on of the ancestors. And after they're having their corn roasts, and when we'd finished ours, they would start their fiddles and their singing and their square dancing. Or they didn't do square dancing as such, they did line dancing. And we would get our chairs out and put them by the side of the road. Put them on the side of the hill, still on my side of the road. And we'd watch them and we'd sing along with the music. We'd clap our hands in tune with the fiddles and the line dancing. And we'd wave at them and they'd wave at us. Yeah, really nice. It was interesting to me that the time rift was actual. And I had had experience with time, of course, because previous to that is when I taught in Michigan, and I taught at Roosevelt School, and I have videos, previous videos that talk about that in my psychic training. At that time, we were doing remote viewing, and I taught all my art students, 4th grade through 12th grade. There are about 300 students. And I taught them all how to RV, remote view. Now, the people in the valley were not remote viewing. I wasn't remote viewing them. They were existing. But other than remote viewing, where you project your mind and sight out away from your body, the other two out of bodies that we can do are astrol, S-T-R-O-L, and that's where you project or release energy from your body, and oftentimes you do it at night in a lucid dream state, or you can do it during a daydream state, which is my favorite. And in the astral state, it's wispy. You're a traditional ghost form. Now, a lot of folks use it when they fly about at night. Now, I did a remote viewing workshop here in Ashland, Oregon. That's where I am living now. And I had about 100 people show up, and I led them through a remote viewing exercise. So by the end of the first half hour, they could all remote view. Now, what I taught them was what I taught my school kids to do, was to enter paintings.